because wanting to quit is a sign of success because it means that you have something to quit. So only people that are going for things in life will ever have that desire to want to quit, but it's a confirmation that you're really going in the right direction.
I'm like, what's the dream of? What's the hope in? What's the doubt for? Live to no end. This is living. The life I've been given is a gift. If I'm a living, I'm a live it to death. So what's the dream of? What's the hope in? What's the doubt for? And live to no end. This is living. The life I've been given is a gift. If I'm a living, I'm a live it to death. Yeah.
All right, welcome everybody to the call. My name is Jamie Chirio. I'm president of Family First Life Living Hope, and I'm super excited to have our special guest, founder of the Dream Center, world-renowned pastor, Mr. Matthew Barnett. Matt, did you make it on the call?
Yes, I am. It's good to be with you. Thank you so much.
Hey, thank you so much for joining us, man. We're really excited to have you. I don't want to take up too much time because I want to be respectful of yours. So I'd love if you could just share with us, number one, just a little bit about your story, what the LA Dream Center is, what you guys stand for, and what you do. And then we can maybe get into how you got involved with Family First Life.
Yeah, it's one of the it feels like it's one of the greatest accidents of all time. I was 20 years of age and my dad had this grand idea to go into the inner city of LA and to take over this little old church that was getting ready to be sold to the banks if no one stood up. And he couldn't find anybody. He kept trying to find a pastor to come into the neighborhood. It was a lot of gang warfare at the time that was going on in the 1990s. And nobody wanted the chance to do it. And so he said, just come and help me. Would you mind for 3 months until I found someone? And then 3 months turned into a year. It's been 10 years and now it's been 27 years of being in that neighborhood of LA and fighting every day for the hearts and minds and souls of people who are just, going through so much on a daily basis. But it's funny how sometimes in life, in leadership, you find yourself just kind of taking on a task and you didn't really know if that was your destiny. You just kind of made yourself available. And you found out one day it became the one great cause that you were really born to embrace. And that's been our storyline through all the years.
Wow, that's incredible. Can you tell us a little bit more about the type of people that you help and the type of work that you guys do at the Dream Center?
Yeah, man, it's 24 hours a day. I mean, we have 700 residents that live in our building, 225 in rehab, a 1-year program. I mean, these are people that are addicted to fentanyl, heroin. Technically they're supposed to be 7 days detox before they come into the program, but we got parents who bring kids to us on death's door, overdosing. We got to put them in a room and just help them, encourage them to stay clean for one more day and try to get their lives back together again. And so it's just one of those things, that we're just struggling to deal with every day and just fighting the good fight and one at a time. That's how it really takes place on a daily basis. Today, I just was walking in, I saw a guy filling out the application, his hand was shaking, and he was so nervous just trying to fill out the application, and families that are living in their cars through the pandemic. And so if you can imagine people in rehab, homeless families, emancipated minors, runaway kids, all that living in one building, and it really is kind of perfect harmony. Like on Sunday, we had a guy who's been in 37 foster care placements since the time he was 18 years of age. And he said at 2:00 every day at school, he would get notified and say, you're going to a new family today. And this is the first time he's ever had family his entire life. So it really is a hospital full of great miracles on every corner and different needs that are being met on every single floor.
Wow. Can you tell us a little bit more about the building and just so people can understand the scale of what you do and how many people you're helping at once, not including the citizens of LA, but how many you're helping just inside the building?
Yeah. We're serving 30,000 people a week through all of our outreach programs, food and 1,500 meals daily, open cafeteria every day. And then of course the 700 that live in the building, it's nonstop. And many people think the Dream Center is just this big hospital where everything happens inside, these 9 buildings and this 9-acre campus, which today is worth over $105 million. We bought it for $3.9 million back in the day where Paramount Studios was going to turn it into a film set. I mean, Nightmare on Elm Street was filmed in our building. Halloween was filmed in our building. And every slasher film under the sun was filmed there. And they were going to buy it for $3.9 million and $16 million. But the Catholic Church gave it to us for $3.9 million. And one of the cool things about it is that every day in that hospital, it's zoned perfectly for everything we want to do. Everything's grandfathered in, so we can just house as many people as possible. but every day trucks are going out. The goal is the Dream Center to be a grand central station of not only people whose lives are being changed in the building, but every hour people can show up and there's an outreach going out into the street. Like 2 o'clock, the train is leaving. We're going to go to Skid Row. 3 o'clock, we're going to go over here and feed some families that are in need. 4 o'clock. So if they just show up, they can always jump in. And I think that's one of the things I like about Family First Life and why our missions kind of resonated. We go first and then we figure it out later. And I think a lot of organizations get bogged down in trying to like figure everything out before they go, when both of our spirits are a little bit of that mindset of like, you know what, let's just go help as many people as possible. And if there's roadblocks along the way, we'll figure it out. I think an expert is not somebody who has a perfect plan going into it. It's someone who takes a leap of faith and then just learns as they begin to go on what they need to do to make it happen.
I love it. So obviously you and Sean met, a handful of years back. I guess tell us a little bit about that. And obviously, his heart kind of opened up for the Dream Center, and obviously that relationship has just flourished. So can you tell us a little bit about kind of how you guys got involved together?
Sean is an absolute miracle, man. He came in with a conference with other guys, just leaders, and they wanted to stop by the Dream Center and just see the leadership model that we had, even though it was all business guys that were on this tour. He was just one of the guys with them, and he didn't know what he was going into to see. And he shows up at this hospital and he sees all these crazy people running around, man. I mean, these are guys that are like, from the start, that bar scene of Star Wars, you know what I mean? The beginning scene, like crazy. And he's loving it. And the more radical I talk about it, the more excited he gets. And then all the guys left and they said, well, this is one leadership model. And they walked out and Sean stayed. He never got back on the bus. He walked through the halls of the Dream Center and say, hey, what's your story? And I'm going to cry when I say this, because every time he talked to someone, he talked to them like they were the most important person in the world. He's like, man, you can get back up again. You can do great things. And even I, as a person who has a lot of hope in my life, I looked at them and I saw, well, yeah, I think you can make it come back. But the stuff Sean was speaking over their life was just pure, just joy and opportunity and possibility. And that's when I knew I was around somebody who had a bigger vision than I did. And you need to be around people who dream bigger than you to get the draft effect and get pulled along to where they're going. And he just started giving and making a difference. And I was with him in the old building when we were at the first event that I was at was in the basement of the Venetian. And then I blink and all of a sudden there's thousands of people showing up at Planet Hollywood. I'm like, man, if we could have this kind of increase at the Dream Center, I want to be around that. I want a double portion of this expectation of really great things.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that with us. Well, we'll dig a little bit more into just your relationship with Sean and Family First Life here at the end. But the topic of tonight's call, just because you're somebody who's an amazing leader, you lead a huge staff, and a lot of us here, we're going out and we're serving families in the marketplace with life insurance. And we're also building teams and agencies of people who are doing the exact same thing. The topic of tonight's call was the science of achievement versus the art of fulfillment, and kind of where that came from. One of my mentors back in the day, I met a guy who he was very successful in the real estate world, and he owned hundreds and hundreds of investment properties. And he shared with us that one day he was standing in his big house and it was empty and he was miserable. He sold every single property that he had, and he started a mission down in Gary, West Virginia, the poorest city in the country, bought a brand new school or bought an old rundown school, turned it into a mission center. And he talked about how he read all the books, the Napoleon Hill and the Dale Carnegie's, and he learned how to achieve at a high level. And he talked about how they're on one side of the spectrum in life, and success is the science of achievement, the actual science of how to achieve a goal. And you've obviously, you bought a building for 3.9 million that someone else was outbidding you 16 million for, and you've turned it into this amazing organization. So you obviously know how to achieve big things. But then on the other side is just this art of fulfillment, the joy of giving back. And you talked at convention about have to serve versus get to serve. And I think that's just such a powerful message. And I think that's a great way we could spend this time. If you'd be willing to just give us a good word on, have to serve versus get to serve.
Yeah, I went through, in 27 years, you go through a lot of different places of your life. You have to explore yourself a little bit and look deep inside. And I remember on my 15th year anniversary, I went through a year where I just didn't feel anything. It was really strange. I mean, all these great things were happening and lives were being changed. And I was just, And one day I just felt like I need to do something different. And so when service was over, I picked up my cardboard. I went to the streets of Skid Row and started living homeless just for several days because I wanted my heart to break. I wanted my heart to be in it. There's things you got to do sometimes where you got to do something radical in order to get right. And spending those 3 days down there in Skid Row, I think it really taught me a lot about the joy it was to get to serve. I was doing everything I'd have to serve because I felt like I had to succeed, which was good. But really a better thing is to have my heart broken to help people. And those 3 days in Skid Row, it broke me. It allowed me to understand that the only way I'm going to stand for decades in this city and make a difference is I have to have a dream for the thousands, but I always have to think about the one, and always break it down to that one person, the story of the day, the life change of the day. And that's how you keep going. I think sometimes people say, well, your vision is small if all you're thinking about is one person. The truth is that makes the vision much bigger because it gives you the ammunition to keep going forward. Because most of the things in life that we accomplish, we have to get through certain checkpoints in order to get to that place. And the only thing that keeps you going is the difference that you get to make in the lives of people. One of the great joys of my life last year during the Christmas and COVID, and nothing good was happening in Los Angeles. It was just like, it was so shut down. There's such a darkness in our community. And watching Sean just walk around giving money to people at that event was just staggering. And people were just breaking. And I'm like, here's this man who's, running organizations with thousands of agents and making a difference. But he's just thinking about the one. He's like, I got to run over and find that guy over there. I need to give him $100. And he's running across a parking lot to find the one. And I think that's a great perspective to have as a leader is, people used to ask me the question all the time as a leader, as a pastor especially. They would say, what's more important, your family, your work, your job? They always say, what's the list? What's 1 to 5? And I said, well, the Bible says, whatsoever your hand finds to do, do with all thy might. So my family is first, God is first, my job is first, everything's number one, because whatever I do with all my might. And so I think that's been one of the great blessings, that nothing really has to sacrifice if your heart is in it. And if you truly choose to break down your life into everyday encounters and how important they are, and how the things that we oftentimes try to overlook to get to the next thing, that one thing is the very thing that could be the thing that catapults you to another level.
That's so good, man. So in regards to life insurance, obviously this is it's an organization that's near and dear to your heart, but if you were to translate that into our world, we're going to go and we're going to serve the families who they're part of the most vulnerable population that are in America, as Sean says it, people who are requesting this protection. What advice would you give to our agents when it comes to get to serve mentality?
Well, I would encourage you not to speak just to people's needs. I would speak to people's expectations, what they can become. Speak to their potential. So when you're talking to someone, not only like you need this for your life, but the potential of what you could do through what we're providing for generations to make a difference. I mean, who am I to tell you guys how to do your job in business because you're the best at sales? But if you really could get to the place of your life to where you could just say, you know what, this is what you need, but this is the potential of what you can do. And that's what we do at the Dream Center. People come in, strung out. The first thing we tell them is, what is your dream? And it freaks people out because most people live in survival mindset. But when you give them a chance to talk about what their life could be if they had some money to pass on to the next generations, or if the next person can get sober of what their life can become, that's when it becomes really, really exciting. So maybe a different strategy to add. I hate to add to it because you guys already know what you're doing, but maybe not just speak to people's need, but speak to their potential. And I think that could be a really great blessing to people's lives to let them know that they can leave a legacy. Many times we tell someone, you're going to change the world. And we don't really mean it, but this is a way they really can change the world by changing the next generation.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay. So just for time purposes, I want to dig into leadership. So you lead an organization of over 700 people who are living in the Dream Center. How many of them are on staff?
We have about 95, 95 on staff.
95 on staff. Okay.
Paid staff.
Okay.
250 volunteers.
Okay, so 95 people on staff. So that would be a pretty good sized life insurance organization here. That would
Yeah.
definitely put you in the top, at least 10% of our company. So from a leadership perspective, in the Bible, it talks about, where there is no, vision, the people will perish.
Right.
So casting vision on people, how do you share vision for the Dream Center, have a common shared goal and shared vision? And how can our agents do the same thing?
Well, I think one of the things that I try to do all the time is vision is tell people, the story over and over again. Never stops telling your story of transformation and how lives can be changed. And I think that's one of the great things about the Dream Center is we just never stop telling our story, and never get tired of it. Never talk about the experience or where you came from and how it's impacted someone else's life and where it could go. So that's what I would encourage. Just keep telling your story over and over and over again. So, yeah.
Okay, I love it. Okay, and I guess the direction I want to take the rest of this call is we have this amazing event that's happening in Arizona here. It looks like on November 15th. You're going to be one of our keynote speakers. If you could just give a quick commercial from what you've experienced on why every single person on this call should attend one of these events, and just what you've experienced in attending them and in your experience.
Well, first of all, I love the fact that it's in my home church. I was raised there in Phoenix, and so I'm pumped about that. But the cool thing about it as well, I think that conference is it really, you can't replicate it by watching it online or anything. It's an experience. You have to be there because there's just so much belief of what can be done. I just view it as people becoming prisoners of great expectations. Everywhere that you go, people are believing for something great, and it just rubs off on you. More vision is caught than it is taught. I think you can teach it, but unless you're around it, unless you're on the energy and the excitement of what could be done, then you'll never really grasp it. And I got a message I'm going to deliver called Outlast Everything. And the power of longevity, the power of staying in purpose, and how, many times in the world we try to fight everything, but the truth is just outlast it. Just keep staying in purpose and doing the same things over and over again. And we've outlasted the liquor stores here. We've outlasted the pimps here. We've outlasted the drug pushers, the dealers, everything. Now I'm just going to talk about the power of what it means to outlast things, to stand, to endure. It's not very glamorous because everybody wants a quick fix in this generation, but there's something that's to be said of somebody who just stays the course and just keeps building. And so, in that beautiful grounds of Phoenix, Arizona, and I always tell my brother, I said, man, could you please hook up Family First Life? Make sure they have the best experience on that campus. It's one of those beautiful campuses in the country to be a part of. And so it was a blessing to be able to do it during COVID. And now that everyone's kind of spreading their wings a little bit, even more so, it's going to be even a greater year in Phoenix. And to me, it's like, I've been to a lot of pastors events and I love them because it's kind of the circle that I've been around. But I think I get more out of life when I saw all those accomplishments of what people had done at the conference, and people jumping up and down, and that like sense of just we're doing something great together, and then the common purpose of building things and doing great things together and using your resources to make a difference. And it's a highlight of my year. I can't wait. And I really feel I'm going to encourage some people that feel like they're at a place in their life where they want to quit. It's okay to want to quit, because wanting to quit is a sign of success, because it means that you have something to quit. So only people that are going for things in life will ever have that desire to want to quit, but it's a confirmation that you're really going in the right direction. I had one drink of water because I preached like a million times yesterday. So,
hey, that's okay. So, I don't know if this is weird. I mean, it's not weird because you're a pastor, but would you be willing to end this call, just pray a quick blessing over everyone here at Family First Life?
I would be so honored to. Lord, I just thank you for Family First Life and the blessing that they have been. And I just pray that you would bless them to be a blessing. Give them opportunities and open doors. And I pray they would always have enough to do what they want to do with their life, to bless their families and their children. But Lord, always give them provision so that they might support serving others and helping others and making a difference. I pray that they would not grow weary in well-doing, but in due season they will reap if they faint not. And I just pray that everyone then will be strong. And maybe there's somebody that has one great concern in their life that nobody knows, that they need a miracle in this Monday night phone call. I pray you would do a miracle in that one area and perfect those things which concern them. And we thank you for all that you're doing in their life. And I just thank you for the servant heart that they have that comes from leadership all the way down. Bless them in all that they do. In your name we pray. Amen. I just want to add too, one of the coolest things about, Family First Life and being around them is, they're really pioneers in the area of innovation of what it means to have the blessings of God flow to you and through you. And that's how you make room for more, is you just serve and serve and serve and you give. And that's one of the great things I love about you guys from the depths of my heart, is how much you guys just live with your head on a swivel, looking for ways to be a blessing. And I just want to encourage all of you guys that are out there, just know that there's places in LA that were on the brinks of really struggling, that were able to make it through the pandemic because of Family First Life. You literally saved a little city on a hill that really was going through a hard time. But because of your kindness and your generosity, we lost $1.2 million of revenue streams that we normally had during the pandemic. People thought we were done. People were offering us $100 million for our building, businesses and tycoons, and all the sharks were coming in, sensing blood in the water. This charity, this incredible asset, wouldn't be able to make it. But then Family First Life comes along, and they make up that gap in 1 year that we needed to make it. And I am forever grateful, and I love you, and I'll fight for you. I'll punch someone for you if they get in your way. No, I'm just teasing. I can't do that. All right, I'll bless them, right? But I thank you guys for all that you mean to us. And I was just all day thinking about this phone call and how I get to be a part of people that are really shaping the world through what they do, what they provide for others, and the asset they give people, but all at the same time, the way that they serve and make a difference. So thank you. I feel like I always fall short, but everything I appreciate, except for the person who just said amen and go Red Sox right there. But we're struggling here in LA, but we'll get to the other side.
Okay, thank you so much for joining us. And I hate to ask one last thing of you, but we have this charity event where 100% of the proceeds, they're going to the Dream Center, and it's going towards your amazing Christmas celebration.
Oh.
Can you just give us just a couple of minutes on what happened with Christmas last year, what you guys are doing for Christmas this year, and how anybody who donates at this event, whether it be $1 or thousands of dollars, what that's going to go towards?
Well, thank you. Well, Christmas is going to be truly incredible. Last year we had the COVID, so we had the cars driving by. We were just putting things in people's trunks. This year we're going back to full throttle, man. We're going to have snow sleds and sleighs, and just like kids who've never seen snow in their entire life in the neighborhood are going to be able to have a wonderland of all kinds of wild stuff, and roller coasters and rides, and 20,000 presents and 1,000 bicycles. Think about that in the middle of a time where kids are being told they might not get presents because of the backlogs of ships and things that are going on, and then the struggle to get. We have been planning for this, and we've already got about 8,500 toys already that we've been scrounging up to get ready for this event. We're going to go to 20,000, and this is going to be unlike. This will be the greatest year to do something big that Family First Life has ever done before. This year, in hard times, inflation, and I told our team, I said, look, if I have to send every intern for a whole month to go out and buy 5 or 6 presents at a time every day until we hit our number, we are going to do it. And we're going to get there. It's going to be exciting. And if we have to spread all over the campus to make it happen, all over the city, go to Orange County, we got to drive to Vegas, wherever we got to do to find every toy possible, it is going to be a milestone event at a time that's needed the most. And so we're very excited about it, pumped up, and we look forward to this year, December 18th, the big Christmas event, the lights, the fun. Everyone from the city will be here, and it's neat that, we're able to do the biggest things we've ever done in the middle of some of the toughest times. And what a way to bring a neighborhood back to life. What a way to tell a community that we're putting deeper roots in the ground. We're not leaving. We're doing bigger things because we got some big old friends behind this Family First Life who won't let us fail. So that's what's pretty cool about it.
Thank you. We really appreciate your time tonight. You've been such a blessing to our company in so many different ways, and I'm excited for everybody to get to meet you in person in Phoenix on November 15th. So everybody, go in peace. Have an amazing night. Thank you, Pastor Matthew, and we'll talk to y'all soon. See you
All
guys.
right. Thank you. Thank you so much.